I'm gonna, like I said, make the short assumption that I can be heard or it can be proper. Like I said, I looked at the last tape. Welcome back, y'all. Still tragic here, making lemonade. But I had to make sure that the background, right, wasn't loud because it's trying to eliminate the noise from the background. It was working too hard, right? The microphone was working too hard, and the environment was working too hard. I think I had the water running, I had the door open, had the music on, just a lot of noise, right? And I'm not saying it wasn't noise because it was helping me do what I need to do, right? Um, but it was just a lot more outside noise than necessary. This go around, mm, don't mind me. I got a hankering, and it's not hitting. It's not hitting the way I want, or it ain't hit in the same way it did last night. I had the same thing. I'm trying other things along the way, right? Because I was like, oh man, you know, you got to multitask, right? I have to multitask the search. Because right now, like I said, I'm still working on this recipe for this lemonade, and mm, this go around, I'm using the Turbano, yeah, Turbano sugar. So same thing as far as wholesome, right? Found it on sale at Sprouts, so $6 for that particular. Mm, mm, that particular unit. Give me a second, y'all. Sitting here, stuffing my face, and that's fine. It's good when food starts tasting good again, or you get a flavor for wanting to have good food, good nourishment, good fuel. So, granted, not necessarily saying that's the best fuel to have, but it's better than Skittles, right? And I'm saying that as far as like an entire diet of Skittles. You want to talk about what's coming out your side? A bunch of rainbows. You know what I mean? And I'm saying that as far as like, I don't think that's the color of the day. And like I said, don't mind me. Crack myself up with some of the things that go about it. I've been putting off washing these dishes, and it's not even that many. You know what I mean? Like it's not a thing, but it's enough. It was enough of a haha. But when it comes down to it, though, it's just part of it. But when you have a good setup, you're good to go. Like I actually had to. I had a thought earlier today. If you've never seen I think it's called Robots. I think it's called Robots. It's a DreamWorks film, cartoon film, and it's a cartoon film. It is a story about robots, right? This world of robots, and they're all different. And the thing with robots is, you're gonna have older robots and younger robots. Like just because you have a new robot doesn't mean you eliminate all of the older robots, right? They're still in production. They're still doing what they need to do, and not all new features need to be, to this job. And I think the main character is Rodney. He's our protagonist, right? Which I can't remember who the antagonist. I mean, I think the antagonist is the system in a world of robots, right? But I can't remember distinctly what the antagonizing feature is. Anyway, his dad, his dad was a dishwasher, and I'm saying that as far as the idea of, what's the work, or the occupation in which someone fulfills. And his dad, like I said, or his father in the movie had he had to update his washing equipment and all. Like I said, he's a robot. It's a robot. He's a dishwashing robot. But it was kind of cool to think like, huh, like that was his profession, and he did it. I mean, he did it upon being a career profession, right? Career dishwasher. Which I thought to myself, I said, dang, at a certain scale, because I didn't even realize, like I didn't even realize on a hospitality scale, right? Um, like how many housekeepers it takes, right, to maintain a hotel, or how many facilities and maintenance heads it takes to maintain a hotel, right? Or a multifaceted or multifaceted environment. I want to let the I'm stirring it up so that it can cool down a little bit, because I want it to be more tea like, right? By the time it goes into that picture, we only did, like I said, we're trying a new recipe. I think what I'm going to end up doing is like, not only are we trying a new recipe, not to switch topics. Let me write this down, right? Oh, a pen is a part of your uniform. I feel like I just moved the pen. I did. Haha. No. We're gonna play which pocket, right? One of those. Can't frisk me. Anyway, we'll get back to this topic, right? Okay. Um, this recipe, right? This recipe that I have, or this set of instructions I have in mind, right? Um, is one that I don't want, or one of the goals for it is I really, there comes a point where you're just drinking sugar, and I don't want that, right? Like like there's a point that you're just like, that's not lemonade, that's just straight sugar, right? Which goes back to the Kool-Aid, right? Like there's no citrus in that at all, or the citrus that's in it is very overpowered, right? And so I'm trying to really, like I said, I've never used this sugar. I have yet to go down the sugar rabbit hole, even though it's May, right? Pour some sugar on May. Mm. Mm. Mm-mm-mm. So it's gonna be interesting. So I like the color, right? Like when I see the color, I see it more as a gold than I do a brown. But that might just be my perception, right? Trying new things, or anticipating a difference in a difference, right? Anticipating a difference in a difference. I'm saying that as far as when people say, "Well, it doesn't matter," right? I'm like, "What do you mean it doesn't matter? Like, if it didn't matter, you wouldn't have to say it doesn't matter. It just wouldn't matter, right?" That's one of those. Stop. Stop. Wait. Let's look at this logic gate, right? Like, let's look at this logic in difference, right? Or similarities. Compare and contrast. Venn diagrams. I want to find what's right. And what's right is between what's acute and what's obtuse. Ugh. Have I told y'all my pet peeve is people making right and wrong the dichotomy, or the totter and the teeter, right? Rather than it's right and left, correct, incorrect. The opposite of right is not wrong, and the opposite of wrong is not right. But let's pick off where we left off before I was going. You almost lost me. You almost lost me. That rabbit almost had my entire attention. To think, because once you start getting into it, right, it can become quite the rabbit hole. But dishwasher though, so I ended up looking right. My handy dandy, U.S. Bureau of Occupation handbook. Right, it's one of my favorite tools in regards to seeing what the expectations are. Right, or seeing what the outlook is for a particular role or occupation or job. And so I looked, I said, how much does a dishwasher, like if someone made a whole career, and I'm saying like fulfilling career, because that's one thing I love as far as if you do love what you do and you do it and you keep just falling in love with what you do because you do it and you do it some more because you're loving doing it and it's contributing in a way, true fly, it's contributing in a way that allows others to do as they do and you do it in peace and you do it in peace, go on and just do it. Go on, do some more of that. Do it, right? And I thought, I could see if you could really, make way, make win, and make do with being a dishwasher. And I'm saying that as far as however you shape yourself, right? Because it's even a mindset to think like, it's a continuous thing, right? If you have this nature of a open, right, restaurant or facility. I can't even say restaurant, facility. You're gonna have someone whose job is dishes. Like I don't want my dishwasher to be washing dishes, doing that. Like I want them to be focused on just that. Mm. But it's funny. I always remember the cartoons. Going back to cartoons, right? Polite ways. Polite ways. Um, that you would have the trope, right? You'd have the trope or the skit that you'd have this person come in who couldn't pay their tab or their bill, right? They're unable to fulfill their bill. And so they tell them to, well, go wash dishes, right, to cover their bill. And to me, I was thinking to myself, well, that number one, that's not the way it works. I actually did ask a restaurant manager, or it came up, right? It came up in the midst of an outing when I was younger. I just didn't want that noise to over bother and overfear, but it came up in the discussion. I said, so what if someone can't pay for their meal? Do they just go back and wash dishes? And he's like, no, I don't think my actual dishwasher, like the person in that position, I don't think my actual dishwasher would appreciate you taking. And I found the average. I think it's 14.26. 14.26 an hour for a dishwasher. And technically, it was under food preparation dishwasher, which makes sense, right? As to well, why would you be doing the dishes, or if you're already in that state of doing something, right? Then of course you're going to be washing the dishes with it too. That's part of the trade, right? That's part of the craft of it all. So, but 14.26 is what popped up on a simple search, right? But yeah, but they were like, I don't think my dishwasher would like that too much. So what they did, he told me the whole protocol, what would happen if that was in fact the case, right? And it came down to being something of principle, right? Not necessarily uncomparable, because there comes a comp point where you, like I said, from a management perspective, right, or from a what's the word I'm looking for? From a balance of thinking, correct, incorrect, right within, something that's obtuse and acute, right? The acute audacity to come up into a restaurant and not be able to pay the bill, right? With intention of not paying the bill, because things do happen, right? There's been times where people forget their wallet, or the wallet that they had in mind didn't work out the way it worked out. There's reasons and rhymes, right? There's reasons and rhymes, which the reasons and rhymes cut down tremendously when it's just straight cash, right? That's cash as cash is. But that comes with its own, right? That comes with its own bunches of hurdles and whatnots. But anyway, I was just kind of fascinated with that. Like I said, a career dishwasher, and to think that maybe back in the day, because the movie Robots is kind of set. It's kind of set in like 19. So they went into a retro world, or it went into a retro theme, and it's kind of like, I think it was 60s style of of technology, or style, not technology, but style or mindset, right? So if we're talking about the 40s and 50s, right? 14.26 now is twice minimum wage, basically, because I think minimum wage at the federal level is still 7.25, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, I stand to be corrected, right? But 7.25, and that's twice, right? That's twice. That's basically twice that. And so to think, right, if you were a dishwasher back in that time period, before it was even considered right to have, I don't know when the first like automatic dishwasher came to market. That might actually be a interesting search and find, right? But like I said, that was just the thing that I was like, I don't feel like washing these dishes, because after a certain point, and that's what happens too, is it's the nature of scrubbing and the nature of uniformity. Like right now, I am going to go through a. We're still stirring this, so just hold on with me. We're going to re-standardize, right? I'm re-standardizing my utensils, or I'm re-standardizing my tools, so that it's easier. Because what happens is, when you start getting tools that are not of the same set, right? Or you start picking not necessarily random tools, because they're not random, right? They were tools for the job that you needed at the time, and so there was nothing random about a tool. Like, I'm the first person. Like, if anything, you can't take me to a tool store. I'm lost. Bye. See ya. I'm not like, call me when they're closing. If I had a dime for every time I got closed on at the home improvement store, I would probably have a crisp dollar. I'm just saying, as far as like, don't take me there, because we'll be there all day, in the nature of like, here we are, like the possibilities, right? That in the library, I've closed down quite a few libraries in a way that makes me kind of go like, dang, that's where the imagination took you, huh? And we lost her. We lost her in the sauce. So part of me is always curious as to whether or not I should bring this all the way up to a boil, right? Because then when you start looking at the other part of the recipe, right? One part of recipes that I think go not necessarily unmissed. People who cook for a living, or people who prepare, or people who enjoy cooking. Like the nature of it, right? The nature of it. Um, that's part of that's kind of like the first question of, like, what's my resource, right, to prepare this food. And when it comes to resources, whether it be the knives, or the fire, or the pans, right, the time, the sitting, the storage, whatever. For me, part of the recipe, right, and the instructions as to how we're gonna do this, a part of me is like, I don't want to bring this all the way up to a boil. I didn't lose any water this go around. Like, I'm looking at how much water has dissipated from getting it really hot. And the reason why I get it really hot is I think sugar can still, I don't think, I know, okay, I'm well aware enough to know that sugar does dissolve in cold water. Sugar dissolves in water. That's the nature, right? However, it dissolves faster in warm water. However, does it dissolve better, right? Is faster necessarily better? And into what regard? Better. And that's when you go into the better, best kind of combo, right? If it's all good, it's just a matter of what's better to best. But stay in the better and best, right? If it's all good, then you can stay in conversations of better and best. You don't have to worry about, a lesser of two evils. They're both evil. Like, they're both evil. And I'm saying that as far as like the less of two evils doesn't make it any less evil. That defeats the purpose. Like, that kind of puts you in a yet another logic trap, right? In my opinion. Oh, that's another one. That's another one for uh, that one. I had to. That one actually took a little bit to come back to me, but I will come back to you. Sticky in one's mind. Speaking of sticky in one's mind, we still gotta make that cornbread. Made that Texas chili the other day, and it's good. I was able to put down a big bowl myself in the first sitting, freeze the other half, and ready mix a small portion of it, whether it be take on the go or throwing a hot dog or something. Always with it, man. It's a decision upon decision, but that's what happens though. Like once you get the recipes down and once the menu is established, it's just a matter of consistency. That's it. Consistency, consistency, consistency. It is Mother's Day weekend, and so everyone's trying to, you know, get in the time that they have with mommy, mom, mother, ma, mum. you know, all different variations of this woman. All right, all different variations of this woman, of many faces, of many sizes. But Lord, oh Lord, this woman. I was able to get off the phone with my mom. It's been a while. In such a way, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm talking about someone's gonna call your mama. I'll call my mama. You better tell your mama. Yeah, I'll tell my mama. Mama and them. I was able to actually. It's funny. I'm starting. Like I said, I'm rehashing. Right. I'm rehashing my feeds. Right. My algorithms and my followings and my what's this and what's that. Right. I'm following different tales of rabbit. Right. Still a rabbit, but different tales of rabbit. And I was able to come across this one creator or this one content creator by the name of Rain Outdoors, which if you haven't or you don't, you're not familiar, she's all about being outside. So I love it, and definitely gonna follow to see. But one of her tagline, how your mama and them, because it's true. When you coming back and getting back to telling people, or getting back to updating people. First person I would think is how your mama. You know what I mean? How don't you know how your mama is? you know, even if it was just annually, annually, you know what I mean? Because everyone's different, right? Everyone's different, and everyone's in a different place when it comes to the matter of subject, right? In general, that's why I say it's just a Mother's Day weekend in a way that makes me kind of go like, oh yeah, that's right. Like we don't have to designate things to a day, right? The day it just happens to be sketched out, right? To make it convenient and easy. But I know people who celebrated yesterday. I'm not celebrating today, but I am making ways and rounds today. Hmm. I'm making ways and rounds today, so I can basically dedicate the same time and energy, right, to everybody, and not everybody, but the same time and energy for that day being designated, right? This day is designated to have that same focus, right? Everyone you would think is kind of doing a part the same thing, but go figure, right? The mother of all days, Mother's Day. That skit still gets me as far as him being able to crunch out the numbers. If you're not familiar with what skit I'm talking about, it is Seinfeld and Newman and Kramer are collecting bottles. I'll leave it at that. They're collecting bottles. But to think that Mother's Day still has this level of population, right? This level of population and popularity. And I'm saying celebrate, right? Like any day, like whatever you gotta call your day to celebrate. I just happen to celebrate today as today is, right? I celebrated today yesterday, I'll celebrate today tomorrow. And today I celebrate today, right? Like if today is the holiday, what's the holiday? Today. Celebrate today. I'm celebrating today. Celebrate however you want to celebrate. Celebrate your life. That's what I tell people all the time. For me and my personal views of it, I'm like, you are my favorite celebrity. I'm my favorite celebrity. Celebrate. It would be so. Celebrate. It would be so fly. Or it would be so fine. Celebrate. Holiday. And I'm trying to think. Dun, dun, look. And then time to celebrate. Is it holiday or celebrate? But see, it's probably the same. It's probably the same beat. Celebrate. Holiday. My bad. I'm getting stuck in. Like I said, I'm kind of looking in my head to think, what am I singing? What am I talking about? I'm getting less and less. I'm getting less and less steam, or I'm getting less and less. Yes, just not steam, but vapor, right? My my water line hasn't gone down that far, right? And I haven't seen. I've been able to get a good stir on it, and that no sugar is collecting on the edge. That's how I kind of look at it too. How the sugar is actually reacting before it's consumed. This is what my body has to do for it to it, and I just don't want to be drinking, like I said, a whole cup of sugar. So I'm going off the rails a little bit, right? I do have a calculator, or I have been following a calculator for doing this, but we're gonna go off, like I said, go off the rail just a little bit to see if we can make something happen. Now you would think though, right? In real fashion or in real science of it, you would only change one variable, right? But I'm someone who just I don't say it as a badge of it's what I search for or what I seek, right? It's one to say I've been through my share of chaos, and that's what chaos is. A changing of so many variables at one point in which a way you still get the outcome you expect, right? You still get an outcome, and that's where you, like I said, that's fumbling around and finding out. That's almost a cornerstone of chaos. But you can have chaos in healthy ways. You know what I mean? I'm saying as far as being able to just kind of experiment, right? Throw it out there and see what happens. What's the worst that could happen? Why are you scared? And I'm saying that as far as changing things, right? Or having a difference, or trying, testing, seeing. It's a process. Not work in fear. If you work in fear, well, I can tell you right now, you're already not working in a fashion that was shaped for you. You're already working in a fashion that's not shaped for you if you're working out of fear, right? Anxiety and anxiousness is fine. I would hope that you have some sense of anxiety to let you know that your nervous system, right, as a being, as an individual, is actually working. Like if you don't have that system of understanding, like, hey, it's time to go. Um, you there's something not firing properly, right? Fight, flight, freeze is very much a system in which you need, despite the fact that there are no more saber-toothed tigers, right? Smilodons, which is my favorite cat. Like if they brought back Smilodons, and Smilodons weren't in particularly Smilodons weren't uh what's the word I'm looking for? Not necessarily not hunters, because they're all hunters, right? Carnivores. But if you could domesticate a Smilodon, that's the cat that I would take, right? I'm definitely someone who not a big cat person. I'm a big animal person. I'm a big dog person. I love a good cat too. A good cat, and I'm saying a good cat. When you have a good cat, or a cat that keeps to themselves, thinking that everybody want to be a cat, that cat, and that's a good cat because they keep to themselves and have good boundaries. Cats, I can get down with a good cat. Like I said, a Smilodon, like a whole shift of Smilodon, yeah, or a saber tooth cat, yeah, that'd be my babes. I'd be like, yeah, go ahead, smile for me, right? Big old teeth. But I'm trying to think. That actually led me down a short path though too, because I did, like I said, when it comes to switching up my my interwebs, right? Or switching up my algorithms, or switching up my feed, switching up my food, right? Changing the recipe, changing the protocol of which I consume. I found across someone who has a panther, right? Like they have a pet panther, and she's pretty sizable. I mean, I was like, dang, that's a big cat, right? But then it led me down the rabbit hole of Pink Panther to kind of go back into looking at. It's one of my favorite cartoons, or cartoon characters is the Pink Panther, and I got a kick being able to kind of go down a Wikipedia hole in that regard to kind of look at the history and what the basis is, right, of Pink Panther. And I look at the cartoon now back, or I look back at the cartoon, and I realize that his head is a jewel, right? His head's a jewel, or that's the shape of his head. Um, when in diecast. Definitely want your character's silhouette to be as unique as the character itself. I think Simpsons. I think Matt Groening. I can't think of his name to save my life right now. But I think he made that statement in the same regard that Walt Disney did, as far as when you see Mickey Mouse, you know it's Mickey Mouse. You know that's Mickey Mouse. When you see the shadows of the Simpsons, or you see the scheme of the Simpsons, you know that's the Simpsons in such popular regard. Okay, so I don't think that needs too much more stirring. Because that's the other thing too. We want to use some of that hot water. We want to use some of that hot in order to squeeze out some of this zest. So I'm gonna use the uncovered first. So I feel like the covered one is still chilling. It still smells very fresh in a way that makes me excited. Oh snap! Look at that. So this is lemon juice, and now we know why. Now we know why lemon juice probably goes in glass, right? Citrus. Now, when it comes to what's like actually in production, I'm not gonna use these materials, right? These are just materials to promote a reuse, recycle, upcycle lifestyle, in a reasonable way, right? Some stuff is like just dispose of that, right? Is no longer useful, or it's no longer serving a a righteous purpose. And I'm saying that as far as like in a way that's productive. It's just taking up space, or it's taking up support hours. We're gonna get another cheesecloth here. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna take, like I said, so we ended up cleaning this rice, not rice smasher. It was called a rice smasher. It was also called a rice, not rice strainer. It's not a potato smasher, because the potato smasher is that. Remember I was talking about Joseph and Joseph making way into my feeds, or making way into market to make me aware of them as a brand. And I was like, yeah, they're getting there. But what is that thing called? It is called, oh, it's called a rice masher. So if you look up rice masher, this just shows up. So can't be too off, right? But I'm gonna use this. I'm looking for how I'm going to measure this, because that's my biggest thing. If I was to use that entire thing, right? If I was to use that entire thing, what would that look like? But we can look at that later. We're gonna just give me a second here. There we go. There we go. Okay. So we're gonna get this bowl set up here, right? And a part of me is like, do I want to measure a part? Like I said, let's do a little bit more of a scientific method, right? I'm gonna fill this up, but I'm also going to need. Oh man, you're in the sink. It's okay. We're gonna fill this up fairly what's the word I'm looking for? Not excessively, but we're gonna be generous. That's the word I'm looking for. We're gonna be generous in how we pack this. You know what I mean? Like I don't want it to be off measure, right? So then, because the last time I did this, the thing I did is I took a cup of lemonade out, right? I made it per the calculator specs, and then I took a cup out and put a cup of this syrup in there. But now, remember this was the thing that burnt my hand. So we're gonna just use that, right? So there we go. So if I was to take that, how are we gonna do this? Let's clean up our areas here before we lose it. I could put this back in the fridge, I think. I think we are good on that. Okay. Daggum. Okay. My bad. I got distracted with another sense of realizing that tomorrow starts it all over again. Okay. So we have the water here, right? Where we have our mash. Alright, our mash here. How are we gonna do this? I am looking for a way so I'm just letting it, I'm letting it go through once. And then I'm going to, let's see. I'm going to try again. Let's see. There we go. A lot more difficult, right? Almost a whole extra step that seems unnecessary at this point, but we're going to wait to see what the results claim, right, rather than current efforts. Because I want to use this again, right? I want to keep because what happens, or I ended up realizing what happens in the midst of doing this is I added more water in places that didn't need to be added. And it turned, it screwed up my measurings, right? But this thing is definitely we're gonna pass through 3 times here. Doesn't smell bad, so that's always a good thing. Right. So we have 3/4 of a cup. 3/4 of a cup, I think, is fair. Of a syrup, right? I'm gonna leave that there and get this cleaned up. Give me a second, because when you clean as you go, it makes it easier. Later on, or it makes it easier along the way. That's one thing I did say to myself as far as outpouring or sharing some of this material. I said, I'm not going to go deep into editing. If you guys want in, join in on part of it. Part of it's the cleaning. A lot of these creators out here are content creators. Excuse me. A lot of these cats, don't show you that part. And for me, I'm like, yeah, I get it. That keeps that streamlines the process in a way that makes it still entertaining. But for me, I'm like, that looks like a lot more effort and work for something that this is where the quality time is. Like it's the cleaning part. So now that we got that cleared, and we're on to the next, right? We have 3/4 cup of syrup that we used out of the same boiling pot, right? So we take our boiling pot of sugar and water. It's a little over 2 quarts, right? A little over 2 quarts. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in there, right? And then this is the lemon juice that we've already collected along the way, right? So we had a set of lemons and a set of sugars. So give me a second. Got our handy dandy post-it, right, to try to recognize how we're gonna do this. Let me bring you guys closer to the fray here. Action in the jungle. There we go. Level and Gucci. Okay, so what did we just do? We are going to give me a second to write this down too, though. We are multitasking as the best human we can. Sometimes we fail, but when we don't, it is so awesome. There you are. Come here, pen. So we have a full boil, right? We have our sugar that came to a full boil, and then we have, what did I say? 3/4 cup of I think we ran through it 5 times, right? So we're gonna either 5 times or 4 times for 4 passes of 1 mash cup, right? Now I know what that means. Mash cup of zest. And then what did we just do? Right, we just did 2, and actually we did 3.5 cups. 3.5 cups of lemon juice, which seems like a lot now that I'm thinking about it. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take we're gonna take it up to the we're gonna take it up to, and that right there gives us 3 quarts, right? And that 3 quarts plus 1 quart of water, I think is going to be the jam for it, just so that we get to a gallon, right? Got some pulp, which is fine. I'm not particularly a fan of pulp, but it's the friction that keeps us going. That's one thing too I like when I use a hot solution rather than trying to make it on site, is because then you don't do I have to do a whole bunch of stirring. We're gonna do a little taste test to skim it off the top. I'm gonna go ahead and take out that pulp just because that's my preference. Ah! Say pulp one more time. Pulp. I didn't think you were gonna do it. Who do you think I was? You know what I mean? Like that's one of those essences of people not recognizing. It's just like don't Don't get the right one on the wrong day, and don't get the wrong one on the right day, because it won't work out well. If you try to have it your way have it your way all the time, you're gonna find out that unless your name is today, you're not gonna have your way. Not every day. Not no every day. And guess what? If you make way to make sure it is your way, then by all means celebrate that. That's what I'm saying. Just know there's gonna come a day, and it's just not gonna be your way. So don't go with the lesser of two evils. They're both evil. Find something good upon it. Let's see. Oh, that's why I don't like doing this, because it's hot. That's why I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Is not lemonade in the same regard that you would think, right? It's hot lemon tea at at that rate. Let me grab some ice. Let that cool down, settle down. I hope that what's left in that pot, because we didn't use all of our sugar. Just put it back. I totally get some of these things that, speaking of Mother's Day weekend, I totally get some of these things that come along with what my mom has done to raise me and my siblings, and just some of those idiocracies that come with being a person, right? And one of those being, put it back. Like, why would you put the ice? Why would you keep the ice outside of the freezer if you're not, when you're done using it, put it back. Like, put it back in place. Like, it's not that difficult, right? And it's not that difficult, but it's something that if you are cut of that cloth, right, then you kind of understand it. That's something that's not gonna come out of the breed anytime soon. That's part of the breed, right? Kind of like Dalmatians, and I think they're deaf. Either they're deaf and blind, or just they're either one or the other. I think they might be both. Where they have, that's part of their breed. Doggone. So we have more sugar water than I anticipated to think. Doggone. Okay, it's okay. It is definitely okay, but that's that. I mean, when I say it's okay, I really do, because it's less sugar, or it's not the sugar that I want in it. Not too bad. That's not too bad, especially after I cooled it down. that doggone ice. That's not too bad. It usually takes me about it takes me about 4 to 5 days to drink down this lemonade if I'm just sipping on it in a way that's, you know, working on this, working on that, sip here, sip there. Hmm. I can tell the difference though in turbano, turbinado sugar. I can tell the difference. It has a good color, so I'm not too upset with the color of it. Like I said, when it comes down to recognizing the appeal, or what people think things are supposed to look like or not look like, right? Because then it hit me to think that who told you that that's not the color of lemonade? Like, I know it's lemonade. We both have sat here and looked, right? And I say both as in me, myself, and I, as tragically as it may sound, but you know, we're right here and we know what's in it. So the coloring itself is more a marketing scheme than it ever has been. But I do know that lemonade, right? If I use that raw cane, white raw cane, no, not raw cane, but if I use white sugar, it's not gonna have this hue, right? Which is fine. That's not bad at all. Mm. Okay, so with that in mind and adventure ahead, I think we're gonna go ahead and call that call that done. didn't turn out too bad. And like I said, I have it written down for the recipes, and I finally got my dishes done. So with that in mind, today's I can't remember what today's verse of the day is. I do remember this one that I had that I want to share because I had to write it down in fashion somewhere else. But it was Hebrews 4:12, and that the word of God is quick and powerful. And I think that was something that came across at the perfect time, right? Perfect timing, on time, in time, all time, right? For today and all forever. But we're gonna go ahead and figure out what we're gonna do next. Like I said, now that we have a little bit of progress and let this, have the 4 hour chill down. That's part of it, right? You gotta chill the lemonade, um, for it to be as fresh as it is. So y'all stay fresh, stay safe. Call your mama, okay? Don't call me with the drama. Call your mama. She'll be the one I want to listen to you for it, right? And let her know that you love her, that you miss her, that she's yours. The one. Look, the one and only. So, with that regard, take care, y'all.